you're able to throw just a $100,000 bounty on this Evan Longoria Charizard card. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, you think about, you say 20,000, but I mean, we're talking about 100,000 that you're ready to look for this thing.
This will be the greatest combination baseball card, Pokemon card that maybe ever exists. I strongly feel that card belongs here. This is what we do. This is what we've worked so hard to accomplish. And this captures all of that.
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Hey everybody, that time again, the Meelypod Hobby Podcast coming your way alongside Jameel Muhammad. I am Jeff Cardozo. We're hanging out at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Gainesville in Celebration Point, and gosh, it is busy times around these parts. Hard to believe that April is here, so we got through all of our April Fool's stuff, but I don't know, man. Like, I still think the world is out of whack right now because of the hat you're wearing. And the hat that I didn't wear because I'm almost embarrassed to put on the A with baseball season getting going.
This is the hat you got me years and years ago, and I had to bring it on to remind you. If you had said to me, Jeff, let's just go back, rewind last podcast, and you had said baseball is going to start, and after first few games, the Cards are going to be 3-1, Braves are going to be 0-5, and we're going to have our next episode around April's Fools. I would simply say that'd be the perfect joke. Like, it'd be literally the perfect joke for our segment. But the truth is, the Redbirds are looking great. I don't know how long it's going to last. But the better thing for me is that I just see 0-5 for the Atlanta Braves right now.
And they can't hit. Like, all of a sudden, obviously needs something to happen. Pitching's been okay, but got to be able to hit. And that's this day and age. And they maybe need to go steal the Yankees torpedo bats or something.
That has been a while. We've had such fun, lively conversations in our group chats with the staff because there's some baseball heads that believe, this is the black and white, right? That's either it's fine or crucify them, right? You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see baseball innovate, I think, in this way, and how MLB, I mean, they allowed it in the beginning, so you can't change that now. Like, I mean, what changes from that? So the innovation in the bats, and I think the pitchers are going to have to start thinking a little bit more. Do you have more movement pitches to try and get the ball
away from it to the
end? You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, it's good.
Interesting.
And it is fascinating, and I think you have to give credit to everybody that was involved in this, and that's what you have to do, just like you're doing with your business every single day and evolving and trying to come up with different things. Like, I sit there and I look at golf, and if you go to a PGA Tour event, they've got a truck out front by the driving range that, okay, if I hit a golf ball, it didn't come off the right spin or came off a little here, so I'm going to adjust the head, I'm going to do something different. They can go into the trailer and do all that. So what's different than with baseball being able to do it?
Technology advances. I don't think sports have to stay. Right?
Sure.
Now, if we get robots pitching, or AI calls or something like that, maybe we're a little too far down that path. But I don't think it's a slippery slope. I think that's what the true baseball heads, the uncles, the unks. I think that's what they worry about. Is it just making the game completely different? MLB does a good job, I think, and I think this may be a little controversial, but I think they do a good job of when things don't work, taking them back out, right? And you don't really see that a lot, like in NFL, it just kind of stays, right? NBA kind of stays. They never really go back on something they've done. So MLB, they're a little bit more flexible, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in that, but it just seems like that. And so maybe after this year, we'll see what happens. The memes are out with the torpedo gloves now. I don't know if you've seen them with the giant gloves and all this stuff. So it's fun for baseball. At least it gets people excited about baseball. In the card world, this is really interesting. Topps, and again, I love Topps and what they've done for cards, but they really missed the mark this year. We only had Topps Series 1 baseball out. That was it. That was the only 2025 product that we had out at all for opening day. And usually there's 2 or 3 or 4 releases out. Yeah. We're still not getting another baseball. We're not getting one this week. Tribute baseball is supposed to be coming out next couple of weeks. And I sit back and I think about that. It's like, man, Ohtani at an all-time high right now. We got these cards selling like crazy, the Skeens card, and how we're going to miss opening day with not having, like, I almost forgot that it was opening day, that I think it was a Thursday or whatever day it was, and I was like, oh, wait, I think baseball starts today because there was nothing going on with cards.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Well, that Skeens card, since you mentioned, let's talk about that because did I see it's over $1 million?
It's sold, it's sold for over $1 million, and so Ohtani heard that, and he said, I'm not going to be outdone. he had a one-of-one Logo Man card out of a Top 50/50 product. It was a Dynasty. It was a beautiful card. So they took the little Logo Man off the back and they put it in. I thought it wouldn't be more than $250,000. It sold for over $1 million. And so that was another 7-figure baseball cards that are not vintage to sell within 2 weeks of each other is quite amazing, actually. So it's showing the shift. We're seeing it in football and baseball. Basketball is coming down a bit, except the big names, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. But we're starting to see this real shift where high-end baseball is emerging. And this is not a thing typically outside of high-end vintage graded baseball cards. So, and of course the Jeff Cardozo rookie card PSA 10, which is I don't even know if it's a pop one.
Priceless.
Yeah, I don't know if it exists, but so this is one of these things for the hobby that a lot of people are excited about seeing these numbers. But to see that sale in Otani, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Like that was a wild sale, for a card that just came out, was kind of out of not of a fringe product, but it wasn't a product that you could just go to a shop and buy. It was an online only. For $1 million card to be pulled out of that is quite amazing.
So maybe the first Didi Gregorius torpedo bat card will go for like $1 million, since it would be unique, one of a kind.
Be cool. I don't know if that'd be true about Didi. Not knocking you, Didi,
he
but
hit 3 bombs.
I mean, he crushed
opening
it.
Day.
Yeah, and they had the back-to-back, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's crazy what has taken over with that. And I'm sure it was crazy. I was in Oxford, Mississippi this weekend, so of course couldn't be around for the Jason Williams at the shop and PSA being there. How'd it go?
It was great, man. We had such a good turnout again, and I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe just our prayers are being answered. I think it's the weather has been perfect. When you do these events, people are lining up outside. It's hot usually, in Florida, and it was overcast. There was no rain. It was fairly cool. We could keep the building inside cool, so everything worked out perfect. And then of course, Jason Williams was just great. I mean, he was great. He had. We haven't put all the videos out yet. We'll get all those up on socials. But he had so many kids come. There was one kid that drove from forever, and his mom had told me it was his birthday, that this kid, all he wanted to do is meet Jason Williams his whole life. And so he's teaching him how to do the elbow pass. And you know what I mean? And there's a video of him, and he's able to do it, and he's teaching him little things. And it was just really cool. The kid had questions that he wanted to ask Jason, and getting to see that is something that you just can't mimic, right? Sure. On an online break or just, watching a game. It's in the shop, and it's really cool. There were so many Gator fans that were really appreciative. We had a lot of Kings and Heats fans come as well, which was cool. Yeah. I didn't even know Kings fans existed in Gainesville, Florida. But they came out, and Heat fans came out. We had people drive up from Miami for the event. And Jason's just great. Like, when you guys saw the podcast, you saw how fun and how interactive he was with us. That's how he was in person. And then we had a chance to do a private signing in the back, and man, we were just cutting up. Me and him were just really getting on some of our employees just because what they were wearing, and it was because we had to, because these young kids that we're in. So no, it was a lot of fun. And we have stuff available if you guys are looking for anything ever. Jerseys. We have a ton of cards. I really made an effort to try and focus on the 90s inserts. So 90s and early 2000 inserts in basketball are kind of like a cultic thing. Like the Asian market is massive in it, the Australian market, the European, and of course the domestic market. We have this love for those inserts that came out. So I tried to get him to sign a lot of those inserts that are a little bit more rarer, and hopefully we'll bring some really cool pieces back once they get back from PSA to bring to the public, which things that people haven't seen yet. So it was really fun. And I got him to do some cool inscriptions as well. I'll save those for when we get back.
Yeah, those are always special. And, of course, it's special to make the Final Four.
Yeah.
Our local team here, the University of Florida, has made it. First time since 2014. And I guess if you went chalk, you were really good on your bracket for number 1 seeds in there. And this is going to be a great Final Four. It's so weird how, if you look at numbers, and I'm kind of dorky when it comes to all that, and the last time that there were 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four was 2008. It was in San Antonio. So now the same thing happens in San Antonio again. So maybe it's just something in the water or the way the brackets work out there. But I wonder now, because Cooper Flagg and everything, Janai Broom with Auburn, he might be the National Player of the Year with Flagg. And then a guy that obviously was an All-American but doesn't seem to be getting as much of attention, Walter Clayton Jr. And if the Gators don't have Walt, then they probably don't win the last couple of games. The impact that he's made. So are there cards out there? Are there things that you can get here?
It's a great question. Walter Clayton Jr. is a very interesting study, being a 0-star recruit or whatever. And, and Iona.
A better football player.
Right. He was a 4-star recruit as a DB, I think. And, and looking at him, and now he's somebody who's, and this goes back to how cards are made and how long before these production of cards have to be kind of created. But the truth is, Walter Clayton Jr. doesn't have any cards. He has very, very limited amount from the Onnit brand last year, which most of you guys know Onnit's like an NIL-specific brand. They do a good job with getting rosters and really all the teams represented. So the problem is he had Onnit cards that came out last year in the 23-24, but for 24-25, he wasn't actually in the set, and he didn't have any autograph cards. So if you go on eBay or you try and find his cards, they're like impossible to find. Bowman Chrome University comes out this week, which is going to feature Cooper Flag's first Bowman Chrome auto. It's going to be a very expensive card. There are 0 Topps Gators in the set. And from when I looked at the checklist, 0, I saw the Gators and the Wildcats. Like, I mean, you got to have some players represented from these teams. These are massive SEC teams, and it just really poor representation. Now, when they put this set together, Cooper Flag and Juju Watkins were the focuses of it, so they focused on those and they made sure they landed. That's great for the hobby as a whole. But for the Final Four, not to have anybody is from the Gator team in this set is going to be kind of frustrating. So it's a really, really interesting case study to think, how could they have capitalized on this guy who potentially could be in the finals, could potentially win the finals, could be the biggest name, and not have a card out with all of the all of the walls that have broken down now with the NIL and having these college cards released.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy for sure. But I mean, maybe a learning curve or something, a process for Everett to figure it out. I guess, and then that would then make his first NBA card, and what's going to happen probably a little more significant.
You talk about Thomas Hawk, you talk about Walter Clayton Jr. just on the Gators, but I mean, it's just another example of how Haley Van Lith, these players that really increased their draft stock, I think, through the tournament, and maybe had been kind of slept on. And so it's you always see this every year. There's always that one guy that or two guys or gals that come out because of the tournament. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be really interesting with the Gators how they finish, but what they've been able to do with a roster that not many people. I mean, we weren't even ranked in the preseason, right? Yeah. So to be where we're at and to see. So I mean, obviously everybody in Gainesville's rooting for the Gators. It's been incredible, that game against oh my goodness, Texas Tech. The ending of that game, probably one of the greatest comebacks in NCAA history, and just how it happened too, right? Like, just the amount of threes that were just bang, 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 bang. And then, of course, the missing of these free throws that they were usually 80%, 85% free throw shooters. So it was just kind of one of those things that shows how the college game is just, it's never really done.
Yeah, it never is. And then, of course, on the women's side, you mentioned Juju Watkins. Yeah. She gets hurt, so that would have been that matchup of Paige Beckers and her to go to the Final Four. But UConn wins it again, and Paige Beckers has now done things that nobody in the history of the tournament has done. So anxious to see now. I don't know if it's that Caitlin Clark impact, but I mean, remember, she was legit before Caitlin Clark was, and then she's been hurt the last couple of years, so it allowed Caitlin to come in there, but maybe now Paige Beckers takes over.
It'll be really interesting to kind of follow the card progression with Caitlin versus her, because the hype is at an all-time high for Paige, and especially if they can beat UCLA, which number one team as well, and then also, if I'm guessing, I don't know, South Carolina and Texas, I'm going to assume South Carolina's going to be in the finals. We'll see. But to beat South Carolina, if that happens, we're talking astronomical levels again with the hype for her. And of course, she's a culture savvy kind of player, where she's doing fashion shoots, she's doing stuff with music, she's on YouTube, she's doing TikToks. Like, she's put herself out there, which I think goes a long way for these players and their brands. Caitlin Clark did a lot of that without even having to do any of that. Yeah. But I'm excited to see what happens in the women's game as well. And hopefully Juju comes back. That stinks, ACL torn. I mean, just on a play that kind of a wonky play, and now she's out till next season.
Yep, we will see. All right, well, we're not out yet. Just stepping aside for a few minutes, but we'll come back with Alan from Big League Cards. You won't want to miss it on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, Meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel still here hanging out in Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And, you know, it's always great to see the people that you bring on and the people that you've met in this industry. And I'm excited about this one because here it's a former Gator, so you know he's going to be cool and good-looking and strong and, you know, all these great things. But Alan Narz from Big League Cards, and, gosh, he's been doing this for a really long time.
Yeah, another word to add to that list is fun. Right,
Okay,
and I just smile when I think of Alan because the fun he's brought to this hobby, not just to the hobby, but to just people's lives. And his card shop is, I mean, he'll share about it, I'm sure, but has been around for so many years from the early '90s to now, and he's just continued to innovate year after year. And he's really just been a mentor to me in the hobby and just a good sounding board. So I'm going to keep giving accolades to him because he deserves all of them. But Alan's on our virtual. I see him there. How you doing, buddy?
Great. Hey, it's good to see you guys. As I said, it's an honor really to be on here with you. And, you know, I know I've been doing it a lot longer than you, Jameel, and I appreciate the fact that you would think of me as a mentor. But I've certainly learned a lot from you as well, and what you've accomplished and what you're doing with social and the way you're branching out. Candidly, I wouldn't be able to keep up with what you do, but I watch it and I try to pull the best parts. But you are a remarkable asset. And for somebody like me who's been around a while, wondering where this industry is going to wind up, to see there's guys like you and many other guys and gals out there that are really taking this industry to the next level. So it's really cool to be here with you.
I appreciate that, man. I'll Venmo you $50 afterwards, all right? But
Okay.
No, thank you, sir. So just talking about that and thinking about shops, right? I know you have for some years now just always been a wealth of like knowledge and a friend to a lot of people in the hobby. I want you to rewind a little bit, buddy. I want you to rewind a little bit back to the late 80s, early 90s when Alan Narz was starting his car. I mean, you still got a nice set of hair. I mean, it's beautiful hair. He probably had a little bit more hair back then, but starting the card shop, early 90s. Did you ever foresee, like in your wildest dreams, that the hobby would be where it's at in 2025 now?
Well, I opened in 92. I came out of corporate America, and there was a good opportunity for me to pursue something that I loved, the whole idea of sports and cards and collectibles. And, you know, could I envision then? Obviously, nobody can envision, and certainly I can't, what'll happen in 25 years. But this much I knew. When I went around in 92, and I visited a lot of stores before I opened, and in some respects, I don't think there was a better time in our industry if you're the purist for the hobby. Every single store you would walk into is a diehard collector. Their life revolved around collecting. They knew everything about every card. They were happy to sit there for hour after hour to talk collectibles with you, which is a beautiful and a great thing. We'll probably never replicate that again. Having said that, though, it may not be the best business model to really let the industry grow and blossom. So one of the reasons I entered the industry, I think, is I thought there really was a huge opportunity that card collecting would remain one of the very best hobbies in our country, but we're going to get a whole lot better at it. Stores are going to start using technology. Stores are going to start practicing best standards in retailing. And there was so much room to grow that if you said, am I shocked the industry got this big? No, I am not. We have the best hobby in the world. And I think it gets bigger 25 years from now, better 25 years from now. Could I have envisioned boxes of cards, modern day cards that cost $20,000? No, I don't think. Or a modern day card that would come out of a pack and see many of them for over $1 million at a national? No, I probably wouldn't have envisioned that. But I'm surprised to see that the industry is so much bigger and better than it was 30 years ago. And I think we have a ways to go.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. And to expand on that a little bit more, you're talking about bigger and better and doing all these things. You've gotten to the point now where you have all the success. You're able to throw just a $100,000 bounty on this Evan Longoria Charizard card. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, you think about, you say 20,000, but I mean, we're talking about 100,000 that you're ready to look for this thing.
I don't really think that bounty is a reflection of our success. I mean, maybe a little bit. I think what that card represents to big league for so many years now, it's a struggle. And I'm sure Jameel knows, maybe not to the same extent that we live it literally every day. Combining baseball cards with Pokemon in a relatively small store has many, many challenges. Sometimes these customers aren't a perfect fit together. How do you display the product? How do you give prizes? And it's a great challenge. And for literally several years, every meeting we discuss it, and we've aspired to be, if not the best, among the very best in the country for baseball cards and Pokemon cards combined. Talk about it all the time with customers, with our team. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden this card pops up that without question, at least in my mind, this will be the greatest combination baseball card, Pokemon card that maybe ever exists. I strongly feel that card belongs here. This is what we do. This is what we've worked so hard to accomplish. And this captures all of that. So it's not so much just that we've made enough money that we can afford to buy it, which we are grateful, but it belongs here, and the marketing opportunities we'll be able to do with that card, we feel, are amazing. We are already somewhat of a destination simply because you have Disney right here. When people come to Disney, there's a shot they're going to come to Big League. Now they have the added possibility of coming to see the greatest card that combines Pokemon and baseball, and we want them to come here. We want them to take pictures of that card. So we think from a marketing point of view, that's a very important card for our store, and we're going to go after it hard.
Evan Longoria too, a avid collector. He's a great dude. He used to break with us, and I got a chance to meet him not too long ago. And so I think the story of like not only his bat knob with the Charizard logo on it, but what he means to the hobby too is really cool to see that meshing. And that's another thing too. Like I'm sure Alan has seen over the years is the amount of celebrities and players and just people that have gotten involved in the hobby is quite amazing. That just speaks to innovation. And I think about your shop a lot, man. I think about innovation and how you've been able to pivot, how you've been able to change seasonally, it seems like, with the stuff that's hyped and the things that you're growing in while maintaining that customer base. So thank you for what you just said about the blending, because that's a thing in card shops that is tricky. There's an identity structure, right, where people want to go and think, well, this is my sports card shop, or this is my gaming shop, or my Pokemon shop. But there is a world where you and I have a responsibility, right, to teach everybody, like, we can blend all of this. This is all the hobby. You're using the same sleeves. You know what I mean? You're paying with the same money. Like, we're all enjoying. We want to see you all get the same big hit. So that's a world that I think it doesn't get talked a lot about, and I think some people avoid it, right? Don't you see other card shops, too, where they avoid it?
With good reason. It's not easy, and you don't always win. Like, we may have a big event. We do Golden Ticket last Saturday month. It's a very big event. And yes, there's a lot of younger kids in here. It's probably more Pokemon focused. Listen, there's people who pull in, they leave because it's too crowded. There's too many kids in it. So we have to manage that. And there are things you can do. Well, hey, we can set up next door where they can place an order next door. We'll deliver. So we have to try to figure out, how do you manage that? And every store that is serious about their business, that sells both sports and Pokemon, I guarantee you they have had meetings to discuss how to manage it. And we do literally every day, but once a week, it's a formal part of every single meeting we do at our Monday morning meetings.
Well, it shows that you care, and I think that's the key, is that you're caring about the customer experience. So for those folks at home who don't know, Alan Narz has patented the RIP card. You have, I think, 3 trading cards, one being a Stadium Club card that's like one in, you probably know the odds, 2,900 or 29,000 packs or something. It's a
I think 5,800. 2023 Stadium Cup, 1 in 5,800.
There, he knows his numbers. And it's an amazing SSP card. I've seen people that have driven to your shop, even recently on your Instagram, to get the card autographed. And you've brought, on top of all that, you've done a lot of things in the hobby. You've also been a pioneer behind bringing Pack Wars, which was something for me. I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you, but that's kind of what got my father back into cards at a card shop in Rockledge, Florida, over there on the Space Coast. He won a Shaq card in '92 in a Pack Wars. It was a redemption. And I remember like there was the guy lost the card in the Pack Wars, wanted it back or something. But it was funny because I think about Pack Wars and what you've done with Pack Wars, and really Pack Wars is an umbrella. There's so many different ways you can do Pack Wars. And how you've brought that to the National. And every time at the National, Jeff, if you go and you hear just people going crazy, it's because Alan Narz has gotten hundreds and hundreds of people at the Topps booth to rip packs simultaneously to find a specific card, and he's giving out prizes, so it's like pandemonium, right? And it's been so fun. We've even collaborated on that with some events in the past, and I don't know what's next for you, man. I want to ask you that question. You've done so much, what is next? I mean, you're a very youthful guy. What do you think is next for you, or is there something you could share with us?
Well, I guess the few things I'm most passionate about is, listen, I love Big League. Big League is a great place, so I want Big League to just keep on getting better and better and better and new ideas, because it's going to be a lot different 5 years from now. I certainly don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be a lot different, and we need to be able to adjust. Along with that, maybe my biggest passion in this industry is dealer education, the ability to most the ideas. And I think Big League executes some of the most fun, creative, innovative ideas of not only any card store in the country, of any retailer period in the country. We're among the best. But these are not ideas that I've generated myself. I've been fortunate to meet so many store owners that are willing to share their ideas and what they're doing. And I'm just passionate about that. Our industry is among the best industries for people willing to share. I saw your interview with Rob Veers recently, and just how Rob Veers is so willing to share his techniques for organization and finding cards. You're willing to do the same with me and social media. So I would love to continue with card store education to a great degree. And I guess maybe the pet passion project that I have right now, I've been working on for a couple of years, is something called Card Stores Near Me, where it's very easy for any collector to go to the website, enter a zip code, and they can even enter what type products they're looking for, if they're looking for an autographed guest signer, and it'll immediately pop up and it'll show you the logo of the store, maybe pictures, videos of the store. And we're still rolling it out, but it's completely free for store owners. It's completely free for collectors. I would love to look back 3 years from now and see that Card Stores Near Me became a very important part for collectors to find the type stores and the type product they're looking for very easily.
Yeah, that's great. And I listened to all this, and the way Jameel brought you on, he said the word fun, and it made me smile because, my world is a little bit different, but I broadcast a bunch of sports, and I mean, that's what it's all about. It's fun. Like you can't take yourself serious. You can't be this hoity-toity type of person. I mean, that's just not the way it's going to be. So to hear you say that and even doing it, Jameel talks a lot about this experiential retail, and as he talked about you and how you started, it was about sell experiences and fun. So, like, how does that evolve? Like, how do you truly sell these experiences to bring that fun word into it?
Well, it's a balancing act. That's the whole game for us. In fact, really, I've thought of it as the combination when the internet came along, and all of a sudden, now there's a place you can go and you get all this inventory that I could never have, maybe at better prices than I can sell it for. They're open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Realistically, how am I going to compete with that? Well, what retailers need to do in and out of our industry is the combination of entertainment and retailing. I call it entertailing. In fact, that entertailing points to Big League Cards for the last 15 years. Very serious about that. We're an entertainment store. And yes, it comes at a cost, because we do the Who Am I game, where we show pictures of a sports player to a kid and they have to guess who the player is. And if they are, we ring the bell and we flash a light. That's not everybody's cup of tea. There may be some serious investor that might spend 20 grand in the store, but maybe he doesn't like coming to Big League because we're doing all kinds of price challenges, Who Am I game, and wheel spins. But that's what we choose to do. That's our niche. That's our competitive advantage. So, a big part of all that too is give somebody a store tour. Like, I'm not saying we're batting 1,000, but generally speaking, it's very important to us when a new customer comes into the store. Hey, how'd you hear about us? If it's their first visit, Show them around. Where are the supplies? We have a mile of sports wax. Hey, we have a mile of sports wax here. We have Booster Island over here. Best selection. Give them that tour. Listen to what they're saying so that you can then size them up. What might they like? If it's a kid, you're not going to miss playing the Who Am I game. And so you got to listen to your customers, see what's appealing to them. We probably more than most stores go after the kids first. We know that if we show the kid a good experience, the parents are coming back. And it's a strategy that it's not all upside. I know good and well that there's some big spenders that Big League may not be the top store on their list for that reason. And, man, it's just a balancing list, and we're trying to juggle it, and we're playing where we think we're strong.
Yeah, and that's great. And, something as he's saying that, I knew Chandler Parsons very well when he was here, and of course, Nick Calathis tagged on right there in your era. Maybe you could be fun and you could throw on like the underwear that Chandler Parsons is modeling. You could bring it in the store and goof off a little bit.
Well, we do have Nick Calathis' jersey hanging in our store, and maybe to that point, Nick Calathis has done birthday parties at this store. And I think Nick would tell you they're some of the most memorable birthday parties of his life. He continues to be a great supporter of Big League. When he's in town, he always visits here. Chandler, not as much, but he's been here as well. But yeah, you got to make it fun. And Nick is all about that. Nick will probably tell you some of the fondest memories at Big League is playing Pack Wars. And now, all of a sudden, when Nick comes in, he got big money to spend, so I'm not saying we turn our back on the big money spenders, but we feel you can get to some of the big money spenders by going through the kids. Because if those kids want to come to Big League because they want to play the Who Am I game again, or they want to play Price Challenger game, and they saw the bells, the parents are bringing them to Big League. And along with that, we have a really nice inventory.
Great inventory. I mean, it's one of the best selections in the nation when it comes to... One thing I do appreciate about you, Alan, is that you care about keeping things stocked. I'm trying to get better at it. I mean, and as we talk about keeping things stocked, I think about Pokemon right now, right? I mean, it's almost like Black Friday every weekend in your shop, right? I mean, it's so fast moving, Jeff. Like, it's so like everything that's out, the hype behind it. But then not just that, the new collector comes in and says, oh, I like this new set, but I want to get all the old sets. So now it's on Alan and I and us to find and source all this old stuff. Oh, I didn't know there's Japanese cards. There's Chinese versions of this. Oh, there's Korean versions of this. Like having all of this stuff. He has an international section in his shop as well. And so speaking about Pokemon, well, I want to touch on a couple things here. I know you've expanded, right? So every time congrats on the expansion. It looks great. I see the expansion. It's awesome. I know that's been coming a long time because you've been in the one kind of unit for the longest time, and now you have two units. So it's amazing to see this expansion for Big League. If for those you don't know, if you're in Orlando, look them up. You can find them on Instagram, all those other places. Great shop to be at. If you're in Florida, if you're coming to see Disney World, make sure Big League is also on that travel list because you're gonna have fun at Disney, but you're also gonna have fun at Big League. The one thing I wanted to ask you a little bit about is like just your thoughts on this customer base. It's really hard. We touched on a little bit between the dichotomy between sports and Pokemon, but I'd like to know a little bit about your thoughts and what you've learned about this customer base over really the past 5 years. I know you've always done Pokemon, and I've done it from the beginning of our shop, but there's definitely a shift happening where we're seeing a lot more educated Pokemon. We're seeing a lot more graded Pokemon. We're seeing a lot more high-end wax in Pokemon. We're seeing a lot of people who want to find out and be educated through the shop with Pokemon, which is humbling to me because it's something that I'm having to keep up with the younger generation that they know it 10 times better than I do, So I'd love to know your kind of some similarities you're seeing between some of the crowds, maybe some differences, how you market to them. And I think this information is really a nugget because it's going to go far to other shops and other people who are listening to this. So what thoughts you got on that?
Well, I mean, that's a lot you threw out there. And I wish we could be great at everything you just mentioned. And it's impossible, at least for me, to keep track of the hottest single cards and the best wax. And how do I know my wax is authentic? And where do I get the best international? And I got to buy the ones that are more likely to go up in value than down in value. But I'll say this to characterize the differences in customers. What I've noticed with Pokemon customers is certainly skews younger. A lot of couples collect Pokemon together. I think that's a really big deal. We never really had that with sport cards. Starting to see it a little bit more now than we used to. but there is no comparison. I would say, I'm guessing here, but for the typical 30% collect together, partnerships of, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it may be, they collect together. Two partners, they collect together, much more so in Pokemon. And I think maybe on the Pokemon side, it's not quite as value driven. There's certainly exceptions to that rule. I think because it's more affordable. For example, we have these international Korean packs. They're 99 cents a pack. So I know people seek out our store just so they can buy 10 packs for $10, and they're just having fun opening. They're looking at the art. They're nowhere near concerned about what the secondary market value is. Is it a redemption card? Now they got to send out to the redemption. Is it damaged? I think in many ways, the Pokemon side of the equation, it's more fun. It's couples. It's easier. On the sports side of the equation, it's different. Here are people that are often very passionate about a team or a player, and they may be collecting that same team or player for many years. In fact, as they get older, they may start doing it with their dad or their granddad, where you have generations together sharing, collecting. Pokemon doesn't have that. That's a really big deal, especially for somebody like us who've been around 32 years, and now you're seeing dads come in with their kids who now have kids. Clearly, it's more value-driven on the sports card side. It's more investment. I think it's more analytical. People are monitoring card ladder and whatever it else might be to see where the investment opportunities are. And that's the balancing act that you have to decide. How do you cater to each as a store? Big picture, how do I cater to each? And then customer by customer. So, for example, if we have a sport card customer that may want to spend big money on vintage wax, I would definitely be the one talking to them. However, and I think Dylan, if they want to talk to a customer about what player to speculate, who are the hottest players in baseball, who has the most upside, then Dylan would probably talk to them. So being able to match your team to the right customer and what their collecting style is very important. I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, it's a great answer, and I'm just kind of listening and taking it in, and you just bring up an amazing point that I don't think people really catch on to with that Pokemon crowd is the I won't call it symbiotic relationship, but maybe that's the wrong word, but between a partner or spouse, because there's this competition that arises. Did you pull this card? I got this card. There's this thing with once they have their kids, they want to see. I mean, I don't know if I've seen this thing happen a lot. We had Caleb Dressel on from Olympic swimmer, amazing dude, former Gator, and he told me, he goes, when I have my next kid, he's a little boy, I'm going to make sure I set out Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Charmander, and Squirtle, because I need to know who his first Pokemon, his starter is going to be. And it's like, this is like a thing, right? So when you talk about the generational side of where this is going, I do see it coming. I see the dads now and the moms saying, I want to see my kids collect, not maybe the Atlanta Braves or St. Louis Cardinals, but, Pokemon base set series. I want to show them the holo foils that I picked up, And so it's a thing that's really community driven. And I love it. I think it's great. I think it's changing card shops that are open to it. And you mentioned a lot of things about sacrifice. I think that is key. There's going to be a little bit of that. But in that sacrifice, what are you gaining? You're gaining people who are excited. They're smiling when they come into your shop. Alan, I remember your parking lot. The few times I've come to your store, I always watch people that walk into a shop, and your shop is very similar to other guys that I just really, admire in the hobby. People are smiling and are excited to be there. Like, how many customers do people have in retail where they're excited to just come in, right? When they walk through that door, they're smiling. And I think that's just an amazing thing that you've done and really kind of set the standard for when it comes to what'd you call it? Experitailing or something like that?
Entertailing, combination of entertainment and retail. We've said, now this goes back to the beginning, we don't sell cardboard, we sell smiles. And we're true to that. And I get it. Somebody who's buying a Michael rookie card isn't necessarily just looking to get a smile thrown in. But ultimately, we're trying to give you a good experience. You're buying experiences. Sometimes I would equate it to like a Build-A-Bear or something like that. You're coming in here for $40 and you can really have a good time. You can laugh. Maybe you get some good cards along the way. And I would say that's our competitive advantage. And, Jameel, I would not want to go head to head against you buying high dollar singles or selling high dollar singles. I'll send them to you. I'm not going to win. That's not what we do. But by the same token, I don't know that there's any store better than us to put on a birthday party. Yeah. And when you put on a birthday party and you get 18 kids here, they come here with siblings, they come here with parents, and when the holiday seasons come around, they remember our store. So That's our niche. We try to play where we're strong. And I know I've talked to you about this before, but there's some of you younger guys that are so good at buying singles and selling them. No way. I ain't going against you guys. You're too good.
Well, where I think you're good, Alan, is I can hear it in your voice and never have spoken to you before, but there's passion in there. And you mentioned the 32 years, and that's I always relate it to like a number. So there's Shaq.
There you go.
32.
32, baby.
But
that's when we opened. Yeah, we opened the year Shaq came here.
Yeah,
wow.
So it's great. Too bad he didn't stay there the whole time. He'd been.
We got some good mileage out of it. We did get some good mileage.
You definitely did. But where is that like? How do you still have that passion after 3 decades of doing this?
You know, I'm blessed. I mean, what an industry, really. I mean, just look around. You know, you come in here. I'm smiling right along with it. We got bells and lights. It's a great time to be in the industry. People are making money. Collectors are happy. You know, we do what we want. It's a beautiful thing when you have a small business, because if I want to implement an idea, if I'm in Jameel's store and I see something, I literally can come back to my store and it could be implemented tomorrow. The thank you box. You know, I have the thank you box. Blake Myers, Lone Star Sport Cards in Texas. We've been doing a thank you box for friggin' 28 years. I got it from Blake, and it was implemented in less than a day. The chase, which we do, it is massive for us. Now there's probably over 100 stores doing a chase. I learned that from a store at I believe the Tops conference. I had it implemented the next day as soon as I got home. Hey, let's do the chase. So it's so easy to implement stuff that we have so much creative freedom to generate fun and excitement for collectors. It's hard not to be pumped up. You know, I don't know that I could get this pumped up if I was a CPA.
I think
Definitely not.
or a nuclear engineer, right, or one of these things. I was gonna say, you're almost like a professor in a way, right? And before we get to our rapid fire segment and closing it out, you've had many opportunities at the Tops conferences in the past. I know things have changed since Fanatics has taken over, but to do like educational seminars, and that's another thing that I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, some of the passion you've had behind that over the years, and maybe like, I think we're missing a little bit of that in this day and age. I mean, I can speak candidly here on it. It's our podcast. There's a transparency that shop owners know what they're doing, you know what I mean, over these years, and we're not getting a chance, and maybe there's an opportunity there for something to arise for conference or seminar or something, but you've been kind of the pinnacle of that. And so going back to it, you invited me to a Tops conference, you had me speak on a couple things that you had brought up, and it was just like, you know, it was really cool to do that and to be able to give back. So Professor Narz, I'd like to know just a little bit about that passion, you know, with the conferences, and maybe you could speak on where we need to be at that in the future.
Well, a little different than where you spoke, and thank you. That was a great presentation you did. That was at a much bigger conference, of which they shaved off, I don't know, maybe it was an hour or something, and we had different stores speak, and that kind of thing is great. But back in the mid-90s, we started something called Tops Retailing for Success. And it would be me and key executives from Tops, president of Hobby, even Arthur Shorn, the CEO, would attend sometimes. And the idea was to go to these areas and to share with them how to do pack wars, how to do price check, how to install a point of sale into your store, how to do a press release, how to get in. And it was literally an 8-hour day. And we'd have over 100 people attend regularly. And then on top of the card store education you would get, then you would have Tops answering all the questions. So whenever I would get to a new city, I would try to visit 4 or 5 stores and try to pick up their best ideas. Perhaps when I get back to the seminar the next day, we would brainstorm those ideas. In fact, I feel many of the things that are being done in the stores today, those seeds were planted in the 90s.
Yeah.
When card stores were first experimenting with trade night and pack wars and price challenge. And literally, we've probably been to 50 cities doing this. Thousands of stores and their managers participated. And, you know, I get so much credit for pack wars. That's kind of my baby. I learned pack wars from Skip Weintraub. Okay, rest his soul. He is a great man. That's Jason's father. You probably know Jason.
Tampa.
And when I first opened, because we were always about doing fun, and they told me there's a guy in Tampa that's doing this game called Pack Wars. I drove down there. This man busted his ass for hours, and then he stayed late to talk to me till midnight. The guy in Orlando showing me how to do it. So I will be forever grateful that, he would share that with me. So, just excited. I'm excited for the hobby and all the education that gets shared back and forth, and the retailing for success. I say, if you said, look back on your career, Alan, what are you most proud of? For sure, the retailing for success. What got me to open the stores? I would go to stores in the 90s. No exaggeration. They may not have the open sign on. Literally, they wouldn't even understand the idea. Bro, if you say you're going to be open till 5 o'clock, you got to stay till 5 o'clock. Oh, good point. These were hobbyists. These are people that had a big collection. They retired. They needed to sell off their collection. So then to go around with Topps backing and to say, listen, we're going to show you some things that are really easy to implement. And it blossomed right in front of us in Card Trade Magazine, which is, I guess, before your time, Jimmy. I don't know if you caught any of that. What a great publication to share ideas. And this is how Rob Veers and I met. I met Rob Veers at a Retailing for Success. I met Tom Fish from Blowout Cards.
Wow.
Retailing for Success seminar. He was a store owner. And it's minds like this that we all would and come up with ideas that I could then go to the next city and share. And that's by far what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. A verse comes to mind is iron sharpens iron, so does one man another, right? And so I think that's what we need to get back at more of, is instead of just seeing, ducking our head down and focusing on our own shop, looking and paying attention to other people and asking those questions. I do feel like, as I've kind of watched your generation in card shops and where we're at now, there's a lot of, I won't call it selfish shops, but it's more so, what can we do and not help others? And I think that's only going to help the hobby as a whole, is if we are taking the time out of our day to really pour into other shops. And when people come and ask you, I've had this happen a lot, Jeff, is like, guys will say, I'm going to start a shop, I'm going to do this. And it's like, well, then I say, can I ask you some questions? Like, I want to know why you're doing this, how you're sourcing. Do you know singles? How much do you expect on margin? Like, I want to give them the hard questions because I want them to be successful. I don't want to see these people open a shop and, flame out. But
it's a much harder game now, Jameel. Like, when I got into this game, it was a lot easier. I mean, there's guys like you, and you're not alone. There's a lot of, I wasn't competing with that. The store owners today are highly educated. They're well financed. They work hard. They know the industry. Our industry has grown up so much. It's crazy. I don't even know if I was just started now and entering, it would be more scary to me. Whereas I think back when I entered, it was a little different. Sure. I was with NCR. I had a lot of retailing experience and I had a lot of business savvy, and looking around, I was competing with guys who didn't know anything about retail. They just were hobbyists. But the card store owners of today, to me, overwhelming. To your point, are they selfish? I don't know. Yes, no, maybe. But their skill set, their ability to hustle, they're well financed, very, very impressive. That's why I'm very confident our industry is going to grow.
Yeah, I agree. I could talk to you for hours, man, because you've been such a wealth, and I know you got a lot going on at Big League, but we can't finish our podcast until we put you through our grueling rapid fire segment brought to you by Titan MRI. So, Alan Narz, are you open to entering the Meelypod Hobby Podcast rapid fire segment with Jameel and Jeff right now?
Bring it.
All right, he's ready. He's always a gamer. He's ready. That's why I love it. All right, here we go, Alan Narz. Disney World or Universal?
Disney.
Easy for you. Easy one. Favorite Pokemon? Does Alan Narz have a favorite Pokemon?
Absolutely Blastoise.
Blastoise. Ooh, the water turtle guy. Okay. I got 3 here. If you want to add one to it, you can, but I had 3 that I like. Pick your best. Chip case, call your shot, or, Jeff, the booty shuffle.
Ooh.
Call your shot. It's just too much fun. It's not a moneymaker, but boy, the kids love call your shot.
I love it. If you are in town, you have got.
I'm sorry. The Who Am I game. Did you say Who Am I game?
No, I didn't have that one in there, but that's your top one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Who Am I game would be my favorite. Then the chase.
We're gonna need to do some of this. Alan, we need to do this on a virtual sometime, like live. We need to go on Instagram Live, and you need to put me through some of your games, and I see how I can do. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Your favorite baseball card ever made?
I mean, this I guess depend on the day, but I guess I would say the 80-81 Bird Magic rookie.
Ooh, that's a nice pick. I like that one.
Especially if you can find it If you can find it without any of the print marks on it. So that's when I go to the National generally, and I'm not usually there on a big buy and binge, but the thing I'm always looking for is, can you really find a Bird Magic card without any of the print marks? It's not easy to do. I imagine you've seen a lot of them, but they're not easy to find.
They are definitely not easy to find, and that's just an iconic card, just a fun card to have in a collection. Okay, Pack Wars. It's me and you. We have one round. Highest base card number. Who wins?
Me. What are you doing here? Of course I win. What are you talking about?
All
I've
right,
been doing Pack Wars for 32 years, for God's sake. What kind of question is that?
I'm undefeated in my shop. I think there's a home field advantage. I think we might have to do a weigh.
We gotta have a shop. I know we did the shop-to-shop battle back, and we were way back, and we beat you guys. Maybe we'll do it again for Pack Wars.
It was NCAA, I think, right? March Madness?
No, it was playoffs.
Oh, it's playoffs.
The March Madness one got called off because of COVID. We were all set up.
Yeah,
we had more
remember.
stores. Very frustrating.
Oh, man.
We had a bunch of stores set up for this, and it was going to be epic with Alan Narz and Meelypops and Big League Meelypops, and they got because of COVID. But yeah, the NFL they are 1-0 against us. It was NFL playoffs, and their guy won, and so we're
ready for a rematch, man. I think that would be cool to figure out a way to do Pack Wars.
Yeah, we can
together.
do that. We can make it work.
Yeah.
All right, you've had quite a bit in your shop. I see it all the time on your Instagram. I see people coming through. But who's the most fun, since we've used that word a lot today, you've had with a celebrity that has come through your shop? So celebrity could be celebrity or a sports player.
I'm going to be candid. None of them really come to mind. I mean, Ciampa was just here from WWE. The guy was great. He's a diehard collector. He couldn't have been any better with the fans, and he was awesome. But nobody. I mean, it's a store that's fun. It's our community that's fun.
Sure.
And I'm sure right after this terminates, I'm going to be like, oh my God, how did I not tell him so and so? So I don't really know. You know, the events we've done here, we've had support from our partners like Tops, and they come here and they make it so much fun, and we couldn't have all the fun without them. But I don't know that I could pick out one person that comes to mind that really made this fun. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it to Skippy Weintraub from Baseball Card Clubhouse, who taught me Pack Wars in 1992. And as far as in the store goes, I'm just going to say the community. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for that one.
No, that's good. Maybe it's the fun can't be matched by the store. The store that's such a high bar for fun.
Yeah.
So even if you have Cole Anthony coming in to buy Pokemon cards, you have Sarah Nat and Cheney from as the voice of Ash Ketchum doing things where she's doing voices. I think she was a virtual for you, but
hey, maybe Tops will send us Kevin Hart, and then next time we talk,
there we go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. All right, cool. Going back to Pack Wars, is there like a crazy Pack Wars story that you have, or maybe a crazy pull that you had in shop from Pack Wars that you can remember?
We've had a Babe Ruth autograph pulled so many years ago. I think, and I guess that was the biggest one. We've been doing it a long time. Michael Jordan autograph. Many years ago, when the Apopka Little League team went to the World Series, they didn't win, but we did a special Pack Wars for them to try to help them raise money. And that was just really good energy. And it was so much fun. And everybody appreciated it. The kids were all here. And just to have the team going to the World Series at Big League, that was a really special Pack Wars. Maybe that's the one that comes to mind most.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Really neat.
He's a big community guy, and that's maybe the reason why I try to do so much is I've seen so much and what the success he's done in that, man. But all right, couple last ones. As a former grad from UF, won't mention the year, but do you have a fun memory of being on campus, or did you have a favorite spot that you loved about campus?
Okay. No debate. 100% Florida Field, for the reason that for the window that I was at the University of Florida, back then I was a very avid football player, and you could get on Florida Field every single day. Now, it wasn't grass back then. Every single day I spent 3 hours playing football at Florida Field. My roommate was a gifted quarterback. I used to have speed back then. I continue to believe, without doubt, that I have the all-time touchdown record at Florida Field. Because we were playing 10 games a day. We were literally, we would go there for hours, and you could use. So my favorite spot at University of Florida, without question, was Florida Field. I'm grateful to Weil Hall that somehow I managed to get through for a computer science degree, which sometimes I look back and wonder how I pulled that off. But Florida Field all day.
Yeah, you can take that, Chris Doring. This guy has 832 touchdown
That's
receptions at Florida Field. So
Take the over. Take the over.
That's awesome.
I love it. All right, man. Well, this is our last one. You've almost survived the Titan MRI rapid fire segment on the podcast here. Give it a few years, but when they finally make the Alan Narz Rip Card SSP, what redemption would surprise you? What redemption would you like to see tucked away inside that Rip Card?
So you're saying the rip card itself that you rip open, what would be inside? You know what? I'm going to give you another lame answer, but I would just say, why in the world would they rip that card? I mean, come on, don't rip it.
So the guy who
That's it. That's my answer. Don't rip the. I don't even want to think about the thought of ripping that one.
Keep it intact. Keep the good looks intact.
Thank
no
you.
Rip on that.
Yeah.
I love it. It's an SSP for a reason. Well, man, you've been a joy to have, Alan. Thank you so much for what you mean for the hobby. And for those who are watching, on whether they're listening or watching, can you tell them how they can follow you the best and where your shop is located?
We're Big League Cards. We're in Castleberry, Florida, about 15 minutes from downtown Orlando. We're a great shop, especially if you're looking for fun. We're not that far from Disney. And, I'm so appreciative. Listen, it's great. We have a lot of great stores in this area, by the way. If you're going to visit Big League, we're in an area where there's a lot of great stores, so you could visit some others if you're visiting. And, I've been to Jameel's store, so impressive. And, I'm grateful for the friendship we've had for a long time, even before you opened the store. I've known your dad was coming here long before you opened the store. And Jeff, it was great to meet you today, and I wish you guys success. And you do a great job. It's a great service you offer the community. Thank you for having me a part of it.
It's great, man. Big_league_cards is the Instagram. So make sure you guys go check out Alan. And they're posting every day something so fun. It's just a great follow, man. I love just following you on there and seeing all the fun. If you want to know what the card shop experience is about, they need to be checking out Big League Cards.
Hey, and if you happen to know Evan Longoria, tell him to stay away from that card. I know he's expressing an interest in it.
Yeah, he's going to find it.
I'll shoot him a text. I'll say, hey, you better watch this podcast this week. You got some competition. So, well, man, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoyed every bit of it. Thanks.
All right, Alan. See you, man.
Yep. Thank you, Alan. And
bye-bye. Appreciate it.
Fun. That's what it's all about. So
good to meet you, Jeff. Thank you.
Yep. You as well. Thanks so much. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and seal the deal on another edition of the Meelypod Hobby Podcast right after this. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, welcome back. Well, great stuff from Alan. The Pack War stuff is phenomenal. I think the only time I've ever done it was when we did it early on in the podcast.
Yeah.
And you kicked my butt. So, but I'm sure there's a lot of different ways, right? Like if we wanted to do baseball, you could say, hey, who's got the most career home runs or something, and do it that.
So that's one way. Alan actually does it a completely different way when he's at the National. So there's lots of things that he does that makes it, like, when I talk about fanatical and like chaos, like he knows how to create that very quickly. So there's tons of ways for Pack Wars, and the one thing I've loved about it is it just gets everybody involved at once, and that's when you talk about community and a card shop, like that's one of the key things. So we have an opportunity to do that, and he's really just been he has a card called the Rip Master. You can find an autographed card by Topps, the Rip Master, with him with his hat on. He looks like a wizard, and it's really cool, but he's done such a great job with it. So we'll have to do some more Pack Wars on this.
It'll be a lot of fun. All right, speaking of packs, let's time for some new wax. I know you made me sad earlier when you said there wasn't much baseball coming out. But.
Yeah, it's so strange. When we think about baseball, the next release will be Topps Tribute, which won't be for a while. This is sort of a little bit more of an involved week. Last week was more of a chill week, but this week there's one big release that everyone's looking forward to because of March Madness. We alluded to it in the beginning of the podcast, which is 24-25 Bowman Chrome University Basketball. So these are like the first Bowman. We've talked about it before with baseball, at the first Bowman. That's still an arm and a leg above any other sport, but with football and basketball, it's starting to creep up where Cooper Flagg's first Bowman autograph will be in it, and you'll see other players that will have their first Bowman Chrome autograph. And these cards are starting to accentuate more in value over the years. DJ Lagway was a guy that we had on. He came out in this past year, and that was the big chase. So this year it's going to be fun to see all the Cooper Flag iterations. If they win the Final Four, they had, Topps did have good timing with putting it out right here in Final Four weekend. So we'll see what happens with it all. I'm excited to see the product release. I already know everybody and their mother's been asking me if we have boxes. Can I buy a case? Can I get a number? All this stuff. So it's gonna be a very busy week with that. That's the big release for the week. But there's also some others that might be a little bit under the radar. Topps has come out with a high-end UFC product called Topps UFC Royalty, and I'm looking forward to that because it's gonna be like a nice high-end iteration for UFC cards that the UFC collector base, I've learned over the past years, is very fanatical. So I think they're gonna really love that. And then we also have Topps MLS Finest, but they actually made debut patches for the MLS. And the MLS debut patches are put inside this Finest set. So for those players and those up-and-coming soccer studs that first game they played in the MLS, they'll have a patch card with an auto. So I'm sure it won't take like baseball will, but it's still a unique iteration for MLS soccer fans. Also, let's see here. There is Topps Inception Football, which is another really kind of unique card stock, color schemes. People love Topps Inception when it comes to baseball. They have it for football now, and you're going to have some Jane Daniels auto chases and, all the rookie quarterbacks still. We're going to see more of this kind of Topps football, Topps basketball with Wemby still for a little bit. And then I think what's going to happen is once the licensing kind of switches, it's going to be value through the roof, right? You're going to just see that more. And then lastly, Select Baseball from Panini comes out this week as well, which is another fun. I love Select Baseball because they do the past and the present. You can pull a gold prism or a black 1/1 of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, they're just fun cards, plus kind of all the prospects and guys that have come up. But Wax for this week, going to be busy. We're here in the spring, and we're going to see a lot of football, basketball, and baseball released really in these next 3 months. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll put up some more big hits we got from breaks in one of our future podcasts.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the next time we talk, the Braves still are not.
There's no more zero
losing
on the left side of the column, right? You got a 1 or a 2.
Yeah,
maybe.
they can figure that out. We will know a national champion in basketball, and maybe it is the Gators, which would be nuts to think about in these parts. But always great. What are you doing next weekend? Are you got a little something going on?
Yeah, so we have the Space Coast card show, and I was talking to Alan. Alan is close to the Space Coast. He's in Orlando, but I grew up there, and so there's some guys, Chad and Dustin, that have put on this card show for about a year now, and it just keeps growing. And just like that Duval card show, I love being a part of shows that I can see the potential, right, and growth. And so they host the show at Port Canaveral. Brevard County is really an area that is, I want to call it untapped, but doesn't have a really good representation of card shops. So I want to hopefully, come back. I pull my Letterman jacket out the closet, so we'll make some marketing videos for this, and he's coming home, baby. No, so just have some fun with it, and I really want to do some fun stuff with the kids out there and get people excited about the hobby and partner with this card show as it grows. So that's going to be next weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday. If you are in Florida, Central Florida, come on out. If you're in North or South too, come on out. It's a great show.
Do you think the Letterman jacket would still fit?
I don't know. I mean, I put on a little weight since I was,
but muscle
soccer,
weighs more
tennis.
than fat.
That's true.
So it's probably,
good looks weighs a little bit more too.
right.
So we'll see. I'll send you a picture. We'll put it on the next podcast if I made it work.
Sounds awesome. Well, we hope you like this podcast. Always great, and thanks to Alan again from Big League Cards, and we'll have another great guest for you next time. For Jameel, I am Jeff. Have an awesome rest of your week.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.